Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to ApeNews Special. In this episode, I'm going to focus on KK platform situation, the Chinese competitor to Warcraft 3 champions. Yesterday, Mr. Neo from Back to Warcraft recorded a YouTube video about this topic, and Mr. Grubby reacted to it. So I'm going to present you the opinions from both of them, and on top of that, my own ideas, my own takes, explanations, and are going to be only in the most important moments because this video would be 2 hours long. Let's go into it. Grubby, give me the introduction, please.
Is this title overly dramatic, or is this true? Will the KK server kill Warcraft 3, a 10-year setback for the scene? Before watching this, I assume this is about the KK platform in Asia, where the Asian players are going to be playing, and therefore maybe they won't be playing as much on W3 Champions, or maybe not at all. And then that's going to make the international competition, aka Happy and Starbuck versus all the Asians, less interesting. Let's get to what the problem is.
Unite all these regions, because if you don't have a lot of players, matchmaking takes forever or is bad. You can find fast matches, but then maybe a 1700 MMR player is up against a 2500 MMR player. Or you wait a long time and maybe finally someone of your...
Yeah, so he really likes the ping it offers, the uniting of all regions, and so he sees it as a negative thing, maybe, would be my guess, that KK platform is going to be luring all the Asian players away again.
Skill range.
It's basically the old threat and concern about splitting the player base, one that is already small enough to begin with. And because Battle.net in 2024 does have ranked now, but has many issues, Battle.net is not good enough of a platform for people to play Warcraft 3 competitively online right now, as per player decision. And so we're going to have 3 platforms: a poorly performing BNet, W3 Champions deprived of its Asian players, who are very instrumental in the Warcraft 3 esports scene, and then you're going to have the KK platform with all the Asians and any white guys that want to play competitive Warcraft 3, because now that all the skill is concentrated there, Starbuck and Happy will be forced to play ladder there, otherwise they're going to fall behind in skill because they can't play with anyone good, which means that the top players will be also leaving W3 Champions, which means I can finally get rank 1 again.
Comes online. This solved.
So yes, this is true. The traffic, the amount of games per day on high MMR is dropping very hard. And this is a problem for professional, semi-professional, high MMR Western players. But in my opinion, even the bigger problem is that how the Warcraft 3 Champions ladder in general is going to look like without Chinese/Korean players. And I'm not talking about high MMR, I'm talking about every single MMR, because there are a lot of Chinese, Korean players on every MMR bracket. And without them, the waiting time is going to be longer. And if Western players are going to start quitting solo because of that, it's going to be a chain reaction. Actually, I have something to add here. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is there something like Chinese BNet right now? Because to play on Warcraft 3 Champions, you need to download program from Warcraft 3 Champions website. To use Warcraft 3 Champions using the Discord helps a lot, because if Warcraft 3 Champions doesn't work, you can look for help on the Warcraft 3 Champions Discord. If there is some downtime, if there is a new update, there is like new solutions, what you need to do to make it work better, you need to use Discord. And from my understanding, it's very rare for Chinese players to have access to Discord. I didn't even know it's Discord allowing China. I have no idea. But definitely there is not that many Chinese players on Warcraft 3 Champions Discord. And I'm talking about every single MMR level. So, from my understanding, if KK platform is like basically Chinese Battle.net, it should be a great thing, right? Because China is big, they have a lot of lower MMR players. So if there is a big platform there growing for those lower MMR, not lower, for every single MMR bracket players to like unite, play different game modes, it should be a good thing, right? But the only problem is that they are taking all of the high-level action that we can't recreate from Warcraft 3 Champions to China. So in my eyes, the problem is how to make Warcraft 3 Champions and KK coexist. Can we share somehow the professional players? And now Mr. Grubby is talking a little bit why, in his opinion, Mr. Sky is pushing the KK platform.
Warcraft 3 in Asia, he must feel like a diminishing popularity of Warcraft 3 compared to some newer games, mobile games like Arena of Valor. He sees that Warcraft 3 is not as popular as it was 15 years ago, and he's trying to consolidate the market, I think, in Asia.
So yes, we have KK platform to make Warcraft 3 bigger in China, understandable. But now we can think a little bit how and why KK platform is not very friendly towards Westerners. And Mr. Grubby is explaining this.
All the Asian players, all the Korean and Chinese players, the only two top players in esports Warcraft 3 that you're missing are Starbuck and Happy. You could maybe include a couple of dark horses, like a Spiral, a Hawk. I don't know how much Foggy is playing. You could like add 5 dark horses, Sonic. Maybe that other guy dies 22, but the two best ones, Happy and Starbuck, is most relevant. I'm not competing anymore. I'm not in that list. So of course, when you have a platform and you want to run some esports, of course you're going to have people play on KK, just like W3 Champions Cup is going to be played on W3 Champions. Now, what I do foresee is that they will create very little provision for Western players to have good ping, because it's not their primary concern. They're going to be focused on the Chinese market.
Now Mr. Neo will explain the point system on KK platform, and it basically means that KK platform is for real. They have invested the Chinese $70,000 for this like 1 year period for the prices, and it means that yes, the fact that Happy has been not playing since like 5 days on Warcraft 3 Champions is not coincident, and it shows that he's not going to play on Warcraft 3 Champions for at least a year. And yes, listen to how Mr. Grubby and Neo are explaining this system.
Tournament organizers play their tournaments on KK instead of War 3 Champions. Well,
makes sense.
If you apply to host a tournament, you can get support by KK, and you will get points awarded for your tournament. So if the players in your tournament make it far, they get points that go towards the annual bonus. This is how it works. You accumulate points over the year, and at the end, who has the most points gets extra money on top.
Yeah, so this kind of point system, it's very common in esports leagues. It's basically a way to secure long-term loyalty and commitment from players, having them not flake off in the middle of the season, so that you can make sure to plan out your content for like a year with more guaranteed support and loyalty from the players.
So now Mr. Grubby made a comment about like intentions of Mr. Neo recording his own video. I hope that somebody will make a comment reaction about my intentions recording this very video. And listen to this.
Sounds like the video title should have been, "Will this new server kill the old one? A 10-year setback for my business." Yeah. I think what Neo, and I have to watch the rest of the video, but I think he might be feeling or fearing a lack of control that he himself maybe has enjoyed as basically the equivalent in the West. People wanting to play tournaments here, and then him being as a hub of that.
So I don't know if it was a joke by Mr. Grubby or he was like talking for real, because in my opinion, having Chinese players on Warcraft 3 Champions doesn't give any control to especially Neo. And Warcraft 3 Champions was just a good place to do the show matches, because you had good ping, the client was working fast, you had the modern maps, and it was just working in China. Because we know that the Chinese community doesn't like Hitman, so I'm sorry to inform you, but I don't think it's very likely that Mr. Hitman will ever play on KK platform or be invited there, because of the reason that Mr. Grubby is highlighting.
Here's what could happen, basically, right? If you are a very skilled player but not well liked because you pissed everybody off with your demands, or because you piss people off just straight up being extreme toxic to them, right? Always flaming them and so on. Comes a time, that person is going to run a tournament. They're going to think of who deserves to be in the tourney. They're going to look at your popularity so that more fans will watch your tournament. They're going to look at popularity. They're going to look at skill. They're going to look at exciting matches. And they're going to remember that you called him a bozo. Oh my god. It's like, well, this guy, but he did call me a bozo, and I guess who's in charge now? I am. I'll never freaking invite you to my tournament. And then that's gonna happen. And then what happens is it's not just a meritocracy anymore. It's not just down to what your skill level is, but interpersonal relations, aka just like job life.
This comparison of Warcraft 3 to in real life really scares me, Mr. Grubby, so can we stop with this? And ladies and gentlemen, as you can hear, Mr. Grubby was influenced by the lack of high MMR activity even yesterday while he was trying to find a game.
Did you find a game today or not?
Completely.
No, I couldn't find a game. Wait, are they playing on KK platform already? Is that why I couldn't find a game in one-on-one?
Yes, I can tell you that they are already playing on KK platform. There is no Focus, there is no Cow anymore, there is no Medusa, the biggest gamer on Warcraft 3 Champions. There is no Happy. So yes, we need to, as a community, act quickly to figure out the best solutions that we can implement, and I will talk about this a little bit later. And Mr. Grubby made a joke about the solution that he is trying to do.
So, the Western players don't have any opponents anymore. So what can they do now?
Direct Strike.
Wait forever?
Play Direct Strike. Go play on BNet. Go run your own tournaments. Create some content. And we need to get the Western audience used to a lower level of play, basically. They've been spoiled by the Korean and Chinese players and Happy and stuff. We need to start getting people used to less high-level esports. 2900 MMR. The new 2900 MMR will be 2100. We will have 2K, 2.1, and 2.2K MMR players playing against each other, and you will love it.
But this not this immediate solution. They can just still motivate players to play 1v1 on Warcraft 3 Champions, because the biggest fear is you want to play 2-3 games, you click search, and you are on lower MMR, and nobody's searching, and after 7 minutes you give up, and you go to League of Legends, or something like that. And another kind of semi-joke from Mr. Grubby about bringing the new blood to Warcraft 3 Champions. Is it possible?
I know what we need to do. We need to bring in new talent in the West to the Warcraft 3 esports scene. We need to wean ourselves off our Asian dependence. We need to bring in fresh young blood. Now that doesn't exist because they're playing Minecraft and stuff. So how about we take players from other RTS games and we introduce them to Warcraft 3? Wait, I already started this! Let's go, Hearthstone! Come on! Yo, guys, can you all start introducing some Age of Empires and StarCraft players to Warcraft 3?
So yes, sadly I don't know anybody like that I can bring to the scene, but ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Grubby now gave us a summary of this situation. Listen to him.
So this is a massive hit for the Western scene. This is a huge slap in the face.
For the Western esports scene,
For the
yes.
Western scene.
For esports. Not for Warcraft scene itself. So the title, will the KK server kill Warcraft 3? I think no. Warcraft 3 has survived many things, including, reforged and big streamers taking year-long breaks, etc. It will just impoverish top-level esports display in the West, and people will need to start looking at Chinese streams if they want to get their fix of high-level esports. And Neo will have to cast all the Chinese events. I'm sure they'll let them cast it, and then we'll still get our fix of it. It's just the not Starbuck, not Happy players that will not be able to play into the top esports as much because there's this hurdle of the Chinese platform that doesn't cater to us the same way that we catered to the Chinese players when they came to play on W3 Champions, which is a shame. But ultimately, if that's fate, then that's it. Then we all need to move on. If you can't migrate, then you just need to move on and do something else.
And here I don't agree with Mr. Grubby, because he's missing this point of game becoming straight up dead, ladies and gentlemen. And by that I mean that nobody will play a 1v1 game. So as you can see here, we have a graph of amounts of games per day on Warcraft 3 Champions, and as we can see, the graph is slowly declining. By the way, that was a great day, 7,000 over games on Warcraft 3 Champions, and in my opinion that would be a huge problem if this graph went down to under 1000 games per day. It would mean that you can basically never ever find something to play, and that what you can do basically is to either play Dire Strike or watch somebody else play. Even if it's like pro game, you can't play yourself. I think it's worth it to do some effort to not maybe like boost this graph to the top, but to help Warcraft Champions 1v1 community survive this split of Chinese, Korean, and Western scene. And how to do it exactly, I think it should be our most important priority as a community. And in this clip, Grubby will actually like talk about this situation again, and I think that like he's not scared, or he doesn't care about this like number of games per day on Warcraft Champions, because for me, I'm most scared, as I mentioned, about this graph going down. So I don't know if he's like not understanding it, or he thinks it like will be about around the same level as it used to.
Every progress Warcraft 3 made in the past 10 years is gone. That's a little dramatic. For a couple of YouTube views, Neo.
Right now, we are back in the year 2004.
It's not exactly 2014. Come on. 2014, the way I remember it, from 2014 to 2016, 2014 to 2017, the top players of the scene were people that I'd never heard of before. Like, they were not top players. Who was it? Foggy actually turned out to be really freaking good. Right? He was someone that was a new pro in this time that actually held up and played really well against real pros like Lin and Moon and stuff. Keshi, Foggy, War Chief Rich. Obviously, Yalls is also legit, but has never been like an international star. But he.
And now, actually, Mr. Grubby is asking very good question. Let's listen to it.
Every piece of progress that the community made in the past 10 years is gone. It was wiped.
But what will be the alternative? Like, is there a solution here, Neo? Because you don't want them to make the platform, or you just want them to have the ping equalizer, or more server support for like 7 Western players. I don't really feel like there's a solution to it, and I don't feel like it's just a natural change, not really a depressing change or anything like that. And it's not going to affect anybody that doesn't watch esports or just plays their own cute little games in Bronze League, etc. I don't think Bronze League heroes care whether Moon is playing like 5,000 MMR away from them.
The global scene is not anymore the perfect.
So yes, the point I would like to make here. Even when Warcraft Champion was blooming, there was still some queue time present, and people were already complaining. I do remember Mr. Grubby when he was like switching back from Age of Empires or from Dota to Warcraft 3, when he got to solo queue and he was like 5 minutes in the queue. There was a big problem for him, and he was getting demotivated and was like playing different game. And this is the problem. That's what we should be very cautious about. The Bronze League heroes, so the low MMR games, still are playing sometimes versus Korean and Chinese players. I play versus Korean and Chinese players. How many times I got very happy that I met somebody that I don't know, that doesn't type in the game, and I can just focus on executing my strategy because he was from Korea or China. If you play in the morning European time, then you get a lot of players like that. And without them, I will be in the queue for longer, and some percent of the players will give up and will queue some other game mode, or will go to other game, or will do something else with their lives. And day by day, week by week, month by month, the amount of the players will decrease. And without doing anything about this, it will be a process that is going to happen. In my eyes, Warcraft Champions is amazing service, is community driven. We can give suggestions, they are listening to suggestions. So we should already start doing something how to improve this situation immediately. And I will present my solutions at the end of the video. And now Mr. Grubby is saying that, the competitive Western scene is not existing. And like back old when he used to play, there was a big competitive scene with a lot of players and they all have retired. Maybe it's a fair point, but still we have Starbuck. And it's not, as I mentioned, about these competitive players. What about the rest of the players?
worse conditions, unfair, it's untransparent, inaccessible, controlled by a few selected actors, and death to the Western player base. It already killed itself. Come on. Look. Come on. Of all the Western pros, 99% retired. Some switched to custom games. Some switched to 4-on-4. Come on.
Will be worse for everybody outside China. It will be unfair conditions. It's intransparent. It's inaccessible. It is controlled by a few selected actors, and it might just be the death to the Western player base.
I think it's not the death of Western player base. I think the Western player base first killed itself, and then the Asian players realizing that the only export product they're getting from the West is Happy and maybe Starbucks, said it's better if we start localizing it here so that we can have better conditions for most of our players. Because because they could play. Listen, the percentage of Asian players as being part of the top esports pros is 95%.
And it's actually a good point that even if Western scene is not that active as it's used to, but Western scene have produced Starbucks recently. You know, Starbucks was able to prove himself worth it because of those conditions, and he went to 2,800 MMR, and he's the second highest MMR player on the Warcraft 3 Champions. While everybody was playing, he got points versus all of those high MMR Korean and Chinese players. So it's basically sad that first of all, it's not going to be longer possible. Second of all, it's going to be hard for Starbucks to maintain. And as I said, we may see a huge decrease of the amount of Western players in general, even in Bronze League. Because remember, it's so exciting if you play on ladder and you improve a little bit, and then you can like meet a player that is like very high caliber that you saw on like Back to Warcraft playing, or you heard about is they're like very good with some strategies, or it's more even the pro player. Myself, I played versus Loliet, I played versus Big Cat, I played versus many good players, even though I'm not that high MMR, because at some point you will start still getting them. And now it's not longer possible. Not longer possible.
Starbucks rise would be impossible.
True.
Under these conditions.
That's true. But he has risen, and now he has to make a choice if he wants to move to China for a few $1,000s a year, or if he can't.
Leon wouldn't be at the level where he is when he can't play against the top players all the time.
The biggest issue for the pro scene I see is inaccessibility for new talent. Luckily, there's no one coming knocking on the door anyway.
So now Mr. Grubby is reacting to Mr. Neo proposed solutions. Listen to this.
It's down from the very top.
Let's go to the solutions.
We did that at Rara.
Make KK global. Allow Warcraft 3 champions for Western players matches. Create Western Warcraft 3 tournament fund. Make Warcraft 3 finals Western only. Finals Western only. As a revenge. I want to hear his words on it. You don't include us. We're not going to include you either. All right, let's listen.
And I feel incredibly powerless in this regard.
Cold War moment.
God, like, allow War 3 champions for Western players. Of course, ideally, if it's possible, make KK global. Give it 30 servers. Allow everybody to participate. Of course. That's the number one solution. Allow to use War 3 champions for the Western players matches in competition in tournaments. Otherwise, it's just unfair. I don't know if we can create a Western Warcraft 3 tournament fund. Make War 3 champions finals Western only to give an incentive to play on that ladder.
Wait. How does it give an incentive to make the W3 Champions Finals Western only? How does that create an incentive to play on it when you can't play because you're not Western?
I do agree with Mr. Grubby here. We should like invite more players from Korea, from China to play on Warcraft 3 Champions. And of course, we can't compete financially. So we should like compete for their 100% of the time. So maybe if you remember these end season tournaments, they were like for top 16 ladder finishers. Just add additional condition that you have, for example, 100 wins on the platform in this season. And getting 100 wins is like 1 week of grinding, 2 weeks tops, and then you don't need to play anymore in the season like 3 months long, so you just play for 2 weeks in the 3 months long season, and you can still take part of the finals and you can earn some money. And who knows, ladies and gentlemen, maybe if KK is really big, then some Chinese, Korean players will rise and they will switch a little bit to Warcraft 3 Champions just for this incentive. And yes, this is my idea, that Warcraft 3 Champions and KK, if they can't merge, then they should coexist. And if we can't compete with them full force, we should at least try to give them incentive with reasonable asking. So, for example, if you don't know how the level system works in Warcraft 3 Champions, with happy MMR, Happy can just go to Warcraft 3 Champions, play like 10 games, so play 1 day, and I think still he could had a chance to go to the finals. So yes, make it like 100 wins, and we can discuss the numbers, exact numbers, but we need to correlate it with some activity. And and to maybe lighten up the mood a little bit, what I found funny was that when was Neo like talking really emotionally about like what is happening, what is our future, and the video was like at the end, Mr. Grubby decided to put the video speed to 1.25.
Seriously hurt the scene that we got. If you have any ideas, let us know. Put it in the comments. What's your take on this? Please don't be doomers.
Hey, my bad. He must have felt my mood through the screen.
Let's find solutions together, because we always do stuff together as a community. Hell, we created Warcraft 3 Champions together.
It's kind of a bold statement. No, but I think he was feeling guilty about his own mood.
I'm very tired of fixing things. It's very exhausting. And I hope that someone has better solutions.
All right, Grandpa, let's get you to bed.
A better execution than I have in stuff like this. I will support whatever I can, and we'll see what we can do.
Here's what you can do. Any top player or any top stream will have to start indeed crowdfunding your own tournaments, and then you have to run more of it. Or you go cast the Asian tournaments and you make content out of that. Or you go switch to a new game. Or you switch to a new format. 2v2, 4v4. You got to try some new things and see what the appetite of the audience is. Because
after reacting to Mr. Neo video, Mr. Grubby went to play Warcraft 3 on Warcraft 3 Champions, and he said this.
So will the KK server kill Warcraft 3? It will not. It will not kill the game. Alright, let's go save Warcraft 3, guys. Here we go. With direct strike. Alright, hold on. Let me try to do... Alright, I'm just kidding. I'll do some one-on-one.
So in total, Mr. Grubby played 2 games of 1v1 on Warcraft 3 Champions, and the second game was versus Lemets.
GG. It's fun. Well played. Just blew that Zerg to pieces. Yeah. GG. Do you think the Western Warcraft 3 scene will die because of KK? Of course it will not. Why would people stop playing custom games on Battle.net because Chinese pro players are hosting tournaments in China on their own platform?
So yes, I don't know much about Warcraft 3 on high level, but I will try to present you my ideas, and maybe there will be some community feedback about that. So the first idea that I heard yesterday on Mr. Neo's stream is the idea of MMR reset, right? Because the Korean players left, so maybe the MMR system is inflected. And I don't think so. Usually you do MMR reset in a game where there was a bug that somebody abused and got a lot of MMR because of it. So, for example, if you can say that every single Pala Rifle player got so much MMR because of Pala Rifle, so then let's reset the MMR because finally Pala Rifle was nerfed and, those players have this MMR inflicted. No, this is not what happens now. What will happen now, because there will be no these high MMR players from China, like Leon will win versus everybody, Kevin will win versus everybody, and all of those like Jens, Hitman. So their MMR will grow, right? So resetting the MMR is also, I think, bad. It will also make those Chinese Korean pros and happy less likely to come back if they want to just warm up maybe and play on Warcraft 3 Champions just for sake of it, and then they need to play 15 games to get into normal MMR for them. So yes, I would not touch the MMR system, that's for sure. What we can do is to basically change the matchmaking system a little bit. Because, for example, the matchmaking on Warcraft 3 Champions works like if you are 3000 MMR, so on a very, very top MMR, this happy on his omega high MMR, it was basically allowing 3000 MMR player happy to get versus 2100 MMR player, so this 900 MMR difference, right? But it wasn't possible for 2000 MMR player to get versus 1100 MMR player. Never. I don't know the details how the system works, but what I would suggest, and to do it immediately to avoid the long queue time, let Leon 2300 MMR player match versus 1800 MMR player. Basically, that's why Warcraft 3 Champions is cool, because there are smart guys in charge of this system, and basically check the traffic, and if the traffic is getting lower, make this on high level. So for Leon, for Starbuck, for other guys, match them. Sit in the queue a little bit shorter, even though they will have to accept 100, 150, 200 MMR lower player than they used to from this low bracket anyway. And I will write this suggestion on Warcraft 3 Champions Discord, because why not? But I would just try to keep Warcraft 3 Champions as competitive to KK platform as possible, giving the money that they have. So I don't like this idea of Western only tournaments and so on. Just give the additional rule that you need to have, let's say, 100 wins on the platform per season to compete. Doesn't matter, Asia, Europe, America, just reward more the activity, and not by much, right? Because we need to be a realist that we can't get happy back because of this end season tournament, but maybe he will have this intensive to play those 100 games. So another idea is to make some kind of show matches for players that play on Warcraft 3 Champions. And Mr. Neo yesterday was talking about nation wars, but what is amazing for me, and I saw was keeping viewers interested, are those players from Warcraft 3 Champions. They proved on Warcraft 3 Champions that they can play very weird style, and they still can win versus good players. I'm not saying good 2000 MMR, but I know 1800, 1700 MMR crazy players, and if they are still playing on Warcraft 3 Champions, maybe organize a show match just for them. For example, there is a player called Blade Zupa, and he's playing at 1700 MMR, and in every single game where he plays, he's playing Blade Master TC, and you may say, Saul is not that rare. But yes, he has these long games with basically playing Dota, and he has average 77 APM. So it's refreshing to watch. And they are playing on Warcraft 3 Champions, and they can get some spotlight, and because of that, they can still be interested into playing. Also, 1v1 is not the only mode on Warcraft 3 Champions, so we should appreciate the other Warcraft 3 Champions users, like Dark Strike. How to do this exactly? Raralan is coming soon, so maybe make a big Dark Strike tournament, to basically keep Warcraft 3 Champions active, keep Warcraft 3 Champions well in good state, with a lot of donations, with a lot of active users. So basically, Warcraft 3 Champions can survive in a good positive state even without the high MMR solo games on the platform. Another quite ambitious idea that I have is like, in Warcraft 3 Western scene, there is so many very talented custom game mode makers, and I was talking with Mr. Nightmare about this, like, what if the Western scene will create amazing tools to practice for solo? So a custom game with like learn how to surround, like with custom games with like recreation of big fights with the from like a professional level replays. So like, can you win in this game from happy position, right? And you have the happy army, you have the happy items. The happy opponent has the same army, the same items, the same HP, you know, and we choose the fights where like there was no like going back, and when we can agree that fights were very close, and you can just play it over and over again, and to like make custom game like that available on Warcraft 3 Champions immediately. And who knows, there is even this like AI mode that maybe can be implemented into it, like there is this advanced AI custom game, so maybe we can combine this and basically like to have this unique selling point that if like Korean Chinese pro player wants to warm up and there is like nobody really playing, he can go to Warcraft 3 Champions and he can like practice in these custom games in a custom game, and he can do it immediately. He doesn't need to like download anything for his like computer, and he has just it in Warcraft 3 Champions. But yes, it has to be done, so it's not that fast, and I'm not even know if it's going to be that popular, but that's something. And the gaming house in China is basically a joke, because yes, let's be real, it's not going to happen, but who knows? Maybe if the Western scene is still active and, you know, sponsoring show matches, it's okay, but maybe somebody who has money wants to sponsor actually something crazy. Why not to like find 4 players, let's say, that are very good, they are performing, and send them to China for 1 month to practice there, and around like, I don't know, some big Chinese tournament, so they can just take part of the qualifier or something like that. So at least, even if it's not going to work, we like say, okay, we tried as a Western scene. So there is many interesting ideas around this project, and I know this is not going to happen. But imagine the last fight of the Western scene versus China. We are sending Starbuck for 1 month, Leon for 1 month, and I don't know, 2 other players. They don't have like, you know, Omega important in real life obligations, so they just can take like, let's say, 1 month vacation for this final push of the Western scene into this Chinese tournament. So we send them to China, and they just sit and play 12 hours per day in some nice apartment for 1 month, and after that we check the numbers. And if the numbers are bad, if the performance is bad, we just say bye-bye. But my point is that let's try to survive. Let's try to make Warcraft 3 Champions still active. Let's try to find the new solutions. And as Grubby said, in the worst case, we will just watch Korean versus Chinese players battling each other forever on KK platform, and we'll enjoy watching high-level Warcraft 3, but we won't be able to play ourselves. So the Warcraft 3 will survive, but in a different stage. So yes, those are my ideas, and from myself, I will be trying to not just give up on 1v1 and just not to accept that it will basically the mode will die out. And for you, welcome. And I'll invite you to this journey to see, can we survive on Warcraft 3 Champions without these high MMR games, and can we survive basically losing all the Chinese and Korean players because they just migrate to Warcraft, to KK probably. I will keep you informed, guys. Thank you for watching, and if you like Warcraft 3, consider yourself playing, supporting, or just giving ideas. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next episodes of ApeNews or ApeNews Special. Bye bye.